Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Richard Gearhart. You're watching a very special edition of KSBY News on Facebook Live. For the next 30 minutes or so, we will be taking an in-depth look at what's happening in the Kristen Smart murder trial. We're calling this Beyond the Headlines because we want to take you beyond the daily reporting and dig deeper into some of the issues surrounding the trial. It's a complex case, more than 26 years in the making, and there's a lot to talk about. First, let's get you up to speed on what's happening this week in court. A third dog handler who searched the Cal Poly dorms after student Kristen Smart went missing in 1996 testified today. Gail LaRoque and her dog Tori did a blind search of the Santa Lucia dorm in June of 1996. She testified that her dog was working the first floor off leash when she sniffed and alerted to defendant Paul Flores' room. LaRoque said unlike the other two dogs, Tori alerted to both beds and also a trash can in the room. LaRoque says she believes Tori was alerting on human remains. Now, during cross-examination, Paul's attorney Robert Sanger questioned the legitimacy of CARTA, the private organization that certified the dogs. Like the other handlers, LaRoque said CARTA is a private organization but uses standards approved by the Office of Emergency Services. Sanger also questioned her about whether her dog has ever had any false positive alerts. LaRoque said that she's never personally had that experience. And at one point, the questioning actually got a bit heated when Sanger asked if she knew the chemical compounds that her dog was actually responding to. LaRoque told Sanger that she didn't know the chemical compound of a chocolate cake either, but knows it when she sees it. He fired back saying, quote, "You think this is funny? This is a murder trial." The remainder of the afternoon was spent questioning a former girlfriend of Paul Flores's. She told jurors that she dated Paul for 2 years in the early 2000s. At one point, she visited Ruben's house. She says she walked into the backyard to look at some avocado trees and was quickly redirected to the front of the house. She told jurors that it was obvious that Ruben and Paul did not want her back there. Her testimony and cross-examination will continue on Friday. And yesterday, a woman who claims Paul Flores sexually assaulted her in 2008 took the stand. The woman never reported the incident until last year when she saw media coverage of Paul's arrest and recognized him as the person who she says drugged and then assaulted her. Rhonda Doe said she met Paul Flores at a bar in Redondo Beach in January of 2008. She and some friends were headed to her house after a night out when Paul rode up on his bicycle. She agreed to briefly go to his house before the two rejoined her friends. She testified once they got to Paul's house, he gave her some water, and that's when she blacked out. She says when she woke up, Paul was having non-consensual sex with her. She says she only remembers brief moments of the encounter while she was in and out of consciousness. She later remembers waking up crying beside his bed and asking him to take her home, which he did. Deputy District Attorney Chris Pavrell asked her why she didn't report the incident at the time, and she told him she didn't think it would be prosecuted and didn't see the point. But she did call authorities in 2021 after seeing a news report about his arrest in the Kristen Smart case. She says she initially felt like she couldn't breathe when she recognized him as the person who she met at the bar. During cross-examination, Paul's attorney Robert Sanger asked Doe why she didn't tell investigators that she attended Cal Poly during the time Kristen went missing. She was a student at the university for the 95-96 school year and part of the following year and lived in Grover Beach. She said she did tell investigators, but back in 1996, she only knew that Kristen was missing and didn't know anything about Paul being a person of interest. He also asked if she was able to identify Paul out of a photo lineup with 100% certainty. She did identify Paul from the 6 photos she was shown, but admitted she wasn't sure at the time it was him. Jurors also submitted questions for the witness. They wanted to know what the two talked about while they walked from the bar to his house and what his demeanor was at the time. She says she didn't think they had much in common and talked about a Lakers game she attended. She described him as polite and acting normally. Ruben's attorney Harold Misek declined to ask the witness any questions. DA investigator J.T. Camp was next to testify, answering questions about his interview with Rhonda Doe, and showed several pictures of Paul's house at the time and the bar. And following that testimony, I reached out to Lumina Alliance, a San Luis Obispo County-based organization that advocates for survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. Earlier this afternoon, I spoke with Lumina's Chief Communications Officer, Jane Pomeroy. Here's a look at our interview. So sitting in the courtroom yesterday, and one of the reasons that we're doing this particular show, besides just the courtroom reporting, is to sort of help people understand what's going on in the courtroom. So it struck me yesterday, sitting there listening to testimony, when the defense attorney actually asked on cross-examination why she hadn't reported, she said that she didn't think that that these cases were prosecuted very often and that it wouldn't make a difference. And so I want to first get your reaction just to that statement.
That's a really commonly held belief among survivors, and one that we see often. We know that the vast majority of people who experience sexual assault don't report it. And that's one of the reasons that they don't often see these cases successfully being prosecuted in the news. And they've heard that it can be a difficult or arduous process. Commonly, people just want abuse to stop, or they don't want it to happen again. And it's not important to them to hold somebody accountable through the criminal justice process, or they just want to be safe and start their healing process and move on.
So one of the things, though, that also struck me was that it can obviously go beyond. In this particular case, it went beyond that particular assault. So this was an assault that happened that wasn't reported in 2008, but that was years after the case that was in the courtroom. So this became evidence to another court case. So I'm assuming, there are other reasons to report besides just for successful prosecution of your own particular assault case.
Absolutely. So I'll just kind of run through the pros and cons of reporting that we talk to survivors who come to us about. So a big benefit of reporting is that survivors can gain access to immediate emergency protection through an emergency protective order through law enforcement, whether or not their case makes it to court. They can also have access to a civil protective order or a long-term restraining order. They can become eligible for what's called a forensic medical exam or a SART exam. And that process not only collects evidence off of a survivor's body, but also ensures that their physical health is okay, and they gain access to STI preventatives, prophylaxis, and referrals to other medical providers. They can become eligible to victims of crime compensation through victim witness, and they're assigned a victim witness advocate. So they can receive advocacy through that office as well as through ours. The big difference there is that victim witness is not confidential the way that we are. And they're really in the driver's seat. So survivors can stop the process and stop participating really at any time if they so choose. As well, it can be an empowering process. Survivors will be placing the responsibility where it belongs on the person who committed the crime. And that can feel empowering. They're taking their power back. As well, if this is somebody who's committed multiple crimes like this, even if their case doesn't make it to court, there may be other reports that align that were reported against this person. And that's more evidence for the district attorney's office to prosecute. So again, it's placing that responsibility where it belongs. That said, it can be an arduous process. It can feel like the victim is the one being on the stand just because of the nature of the court process. They'll be asked by multiple people to describe in detail what happened to them, and that can be really painful, and sometimes it can even be re-traumatizing. And it can be a deterrent for people to report if they see that very few of these cases actually make it to court, or if they do make it to court, actually result in a conviction. And so they think to themselves, like this person that you mentioned, why go through all of that hardship and emotional strife if I believe nothing will happen? And so that's kind of where we come in, is to support people in their decision-making process and to definitely support them in reporting if that's something that they would like to do.
So one of the, just in my own particular situation, I'm a teacher, so I'm a mandated reporter, right? So if somebody, like if one of my students comes to me, I have to report that, and there is no guarantee of confidentiality about what they tell me, and I have to sort of inform them of that. Is there, or can you give us a rundown of where people can go for confidential help or for confidential information?
Yes, they can come to Lumina Alliance, or if they're outside of San Luis Obispo County, there's a rape crisis center and a domestic violence shelter in every county in the state, and they all provide confidential services. So we have advocates on staff that answer our crisis line, our crisis and information line, and they can provide survivors with information about their options and resources available to them. They can connect them with other resources in the community. They can actually be with them through the reporting process, whether that's going to the police station to make a report, doing a three-way call. Folks can come to us and make a report. We can sit with them through the court process. They're also eligible for our shelter. Sexual assault victims as well are eligible for emergency shelter if they are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless due to sexual assault. They may have access to our transitional housing program, to clinical therapy. And we do have some mandated reporters on staff, like our therapists, but all of our other services are confidential. And so that's a really crucial aspect of what we do, because it allows survivors to share what's happened to them without fear of somebody then reporting to law enforcement when they're not ready. And we are all about empowering survivors to do what's best for them. We view them as experts in their own experience and support them in their healing process, whatever that looks like.
So let's kind of take a step back too, because I think that, you know, one of the things that was apparent, or at least to me, in listening to this testimony, was that I think that this particular person, who wasn't identified, you know, other than as a Jane Doe kind of identification, even in the courtroom, I think that she looked at it as, hey, I actually went home with this guy from the bar, right? And we didn't do what I was expecting to do. But can you give us a definition for our viewers of, you know, what constitutes sexual assault and who can be a victim?
Yes. So anyone and everyone, unfortunately, can be a victim, whether you're male identified, female identified, a child or an adult. And our definition at Lumina Alliance of sexual assault is a little bit more broad than that of the criminal justice system, but it's really any non-consensual sexual act, whether that's harassment, touching, what have you. And consent is the key word, right? And when we talk about consent, we talk about enthusiastic and willing desire to engage in a sexual act with another person. And if that is not there, it's not sex, it's sexual assault. And so there can be some confusion around consent, where if somebody agrees to one thing, the expectation is that they're agreeing to everything. Or if they agreed to something last night, the expectation is that they're agreeing to the same thing tonight. And the reality is that it can be taken away at any time. It must be informed. People must understand what's happening to them. So obviously, if somebody is incapacitated because they've been drugged or they're under the influence, they can't give consent. If somebody's asleep, they can't give consent. If they're underage, they can't give consent. So there are all these parameters around it, legally, but also if somebody decides that they don't want something and their partner continues, or the person that they're with continues, that's a violation. And so we talk to survivors about that. And we also, we've got a whole wonderful curriculum on healthy relationships and consent that we offer to the community.
Can you give us an idea of what are, I don't want to, I'm struggling for the right word here, like maybe, you know, a typical scenario, like in this case, you know, the accusation is that she was drugged and not even conscious while some of this was happening. And I think that a lot of people think of sexual assault as either violent sexual assault or maybe drugged or incapacitated sexual assault. I have a feeling that may not be the majority of the cases, though.
No, and thank you for asking that question. When people hear the term rape or sexual assault, they often think of a stranger jumping out of the bushes who's got a mask on and we don't know this person. And those incidences happen, but they're very rare. The vast majority of sexual assaults are committed by somebody known to the victim, even if they're an acquaintance. And And so when those factors are involved, it can be more difficult for a victim to set boundaries, or to say like, hey, I'm confused. I thought you were a friend of mine, and now you're hurting me. And another thing that commonly happens is, you've heard of fight or flight. One of the most common reactions among sexual assault victims is freeze. And it's a survival mechanism, it's biological, and it happens because people are being traumatized. And it's their way of surviving the moment, the situation. So you'll commonly hear, why didn't you fight back? Victims use the freeze, or they do freeze as a way to protect themselves in the moment, to just get through it so that they can get out of there alive. Or they're incapacitated because they've been drugged.
What would your advice be to somebody who doesn't, I mean, this is kind of a strange question too, but what if you don't really, you suspect that you may have been sexually assaulted, but you don't know that it meets the definition? Like what do you do when it's in that gray area?
You can call us and you can talk to us about it, and we can give information about how we define sexual assault. But ultimately, if somebody doesn't identify as a victim or survivor, we're not going to tell them you are a victim. We can tell them that what we're hearing sounds like it aligns with how we define sexual assault, and we can kind of help them process. We can certainly tell them that based on what they've told us, they're eligible for all of these resources in the community, or that what they've experienced is a crime and they have the option to report, and we can support them through that process.
Is it ever too late to report? We've gotten a lot of questions just via social media about, why is could these people who haven't reported these crimes that are testifying in court now, could they, could charges be brought against a perpetrator years later?
Yes. So in California, a law passed a few years back that said, if you experience sexual assault after January 1st, 2017, there is no longer a statute of limitations. And that means you can report indefinitely throughout your lifetime. If the assault occurred before January 1st, 2017, it depends on the crime that you've experienced. But a common one is 10 years after your 18th birthday, if you were assaulted while you were a child. I believe rape is 10 years after the incident. But I would verify that with the DA's office.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. What about the cons? It's uncomfortable to even listen to testimony about the sexual assault, even as as a member of the audience listening in the courtroom. And so I'm obviously it would be much more traumatizing to sort of relive that again. Is there ever a reason not to report it?
Yeah, so if I'll give you an example, we're a dual agency. We serve people affected by intimate partner violence or domestic violence and sexual assault. If somebody is assaulted and they're in an abusive relationship, they might be financially dependent on that person. They might fear for their livelihood if they were to report, because they've been threatened by their partner that if they ever did report, something terrible would happen to them. They may have children with that person. And so it may actually be better for them and their survival not to report. And in those instances, we will help them make a safety plan that makes sense for them and their situation. And let them know that if they ever do want to report, we can support them in that process, but we're not going to pressure them to do so. We're not going to require them, certainly, to do that. But you're right, it can be very difficult. And just, even if, and we do have wonderful district attorneys and wonderful law enforcement officers locally, but even if they do everything right, just the process of going through the court system and repeating yourself multiple times to multiple strangers in detail about a very intimate violation, there is so much shame involved, and it can be re-triggering and re-traumatizing. And for some people, it doesn't feel worth it to go through that process. And the reality is that the people who are committing these crimes know that, and they're using their power and privilege to commit these crimes over and over again. because they're not seeing a lot of people being held accountable.
How do we sort of balance that out? Because obviously defendants have the right to a vigorous defense, and attorneys have the right to question. How do we balance out, respecting the victims and still letting the court process operate the way it's supposed to?
That's a tricky question. And I honestly feel that a huge benefit would be broadly educating the public about myths and facts related to this particular crime. Because even if the district attorney's office feels that they've got an excellent case and they're laying out all this wonderful evidence, they think they've got a slam dunk. If the jury still intrinsically believes that somehow, particularly female victims, they've done something to deserve it because they're perceived as loose or risk-taking, that will inhibit their ability to convict somebody. And so the more education we can do of the public, the better, and particularly of our young people, teaching them about consent, teaching them about healthy relationships and red flags versus green flags in relationships. Personally, that's where I see a light and some hope, and is educating the public so that we're all on the same page when it comes to the myths and facts related to this crime.
One of the things that struck me in testimony yesterday in court was that the defense attorney wasn't really going after certainly the character of the witness at all, but was really sort of trying to establish doubt in her ability to identify the perpetrator. Like, are you sure this was him? How could you be sure? Really talking about discrepancies in the distance travel between the bar and the residence where it took place. Is that traumatizing for victims when they're having to sort of say, like, hey, maybe I really remember who this is? How do I identify this person?
Yeah, and people, if they're questioned enough, they can start to question themselves. And that's what we call gaslighting in abusive relationships. Not to say that the defense attorney is gaslighting the victim, but if people are questioned enough, they will question their memory. And the thing with trauma is that we know it kind of impedes the brain's ability to file away memories in the same way that a healthy brain will around a particular traumatic incident. And so one really easy way and proven way to get better testimony from witnesses is to wait 24 to 48 hours after an incident of sexual assault before interviewing a victim, which goes contrary to law enforcement's goal of trying to get the bad guy quickly. But they will get more clear, more robust testimony if they just wait a little while for a victim's brain to kind of recalibrate after a traumatic incident. That the fact that our brains get jarbled with trauma can be used against a victim, right? They can say, like, how could you possibly remember if this happened 10 years ago? Or you're giving testimony that doesn't make sense, or you're contradicting yourself. And those are really common, that happens really commonly among anybody who's been traumatized. If you were to ask a war victim or somebody who's just witnessed a bomb, what happened to them, their recollection of what happened will also be jarbled. And so there are tools that we can use to improve prosecution, and that's just one of them.
Are we getting better about the stigma, or is there still quite a bit of stigma involved with this?
I think so. Back in 2018, when the Me Too movement was taking off, our crisis line blew up. And a big part of that is because a lot of people were seeing the news and watching all of these people come forward with stories of their own sexual assault, and they were identifying what had happened to them as sexual assault for the first time. And so there's definitely more awareness out there among the broader public I think we are seeing kind of a backlash now that more people are speaking out. And I hope it's okay to share this, but one example is, this swing back against Roe versus Wade and making abortion illegal. Reproductive coercion is a key factor in abusive relationships. And by taking away the choice for somebody to access comprehensive, quality, confidential medical care, including reproductive care, we are giving abusers more tools to harm people. And so as we make progress, we always take a step backward, and that's another challenge that we have to overcome. But to answer your question, I do think that we have made progress over recent years.
One of my hopes when people see really cases with a lot of notoriety like this is that even if they're not, even if they can take one little lesson away, right? So even if it's just about this sexual assault, kind of a stigma, or the testimony involving the sexual assault, that they can learn from that. What do you hope that people, or what advice can you give to people who might be watching this interview, who may have been or may in the future be a victim of sexual assault?
We believe you. It wasn't your fault, and there's help available. And you can call our crisis line, and we will walk you through your options and support you in your decision-making process. And there are options and resources available to you, and there's hope.
What about advice to friends and loved ones of people who are going through this?
Very similar advice. Call us. Our services are available to you as well. It can be very hard to know what to do or what to say when somebody discloses to you, particularly if they're a family member or loved one or a child. And we're here for that too. We're here to support you in supporting that person, but also to help you process and heal from what you've experienced indirectly.
Anything that you think we haven't gone over yet that's important for our viewers?
Just that all of our services are free or low cost. They are completely confidential and offered in English and Spanish. And our hotline number is 805-545-8888, and you can call that anytime.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And again, that was Jane Pomeroy, Chief Communications Officer for Lumina Alliance. If you or someone you know needs help, you can call that 24-hour crisis and information line. The number is 805-545-8888. You can also find more information about the organization and the services it offers on the website luminaalliance.org. And thank you for joining us for this special broadcast. We do plan to bring you these Facebook Live shows throughout the trial, so we hope that you'll join us again next time. And remember to add any questions that you may have into the comments. If we did not cover your question tonight, we will be compiling them for future episodes. And you can also find all of our coverage of this case on our website, ksby.com. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.